How's it going, Swanee?
Looks like a
Good.
bad
You have everybody join, or are we just a few people yet waiting?
I mean, a lot of people came in. A handful of people did. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A good handful. I think we'll just give them a minute here to get on.
All right.
Um,
I'll be back in about a couple of minutes. I just got back from outside. We'll be joining you shortly.
All right, cool. Yeah, so kind of give you an overview of like what I was thinking about doing is this is kind of like something I think fun we could do, every week or two, and just kind of help people get educated on how to use AI, and then how to use it for just everyday use as well as for trading, right? And I know you guys use it well. I use it pretty good as well. And I think one of the big things that that needs to be conveyed is it's not as difficult as people think, but it's the approach and how you communicate with the systems that can pretty much ultimately determine how easy it works for you or how difficult it can be. And then I figured, then you and KP could kind of go over, if you want to, like what you guys like about it, some of the tips that you guys like to use, and if you want to share a little bit about how you use it, that'd be cool too. I was going to go over that too, and then I have basically a beginner's guide that's just 5 slides to go over to kind of just to give people an idea of like how to use it, some like the terms that are being used and things like that. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a few people here. I'll unmute you, Dogmo, if you have any questions. And same with you, RJ. I unmuted you, RJ. But just as we're sitting here, like I think one of probably the biggest breakthroughs for me has been just having the simple approach that that the system is stupid. Like the system is completely dumb. Everybody wants to think it's really, really smart, but it's the approach for me that's helped a lot. Is it's so stupid that I have to make sure that my communication is so clear that I can direct it in kind of corner it into giving me exactly what I want in my product or whatever I'm trying to get done. I think when you're big thing that I've learned is when you're using it, having context. What's the intent? What's the initial intent? I really like to let's kind of go over some of these basic stuffs and get started here before people or while people are waiting. I think people are either gonna it's gonna be either it or they'll kind of just start scrolling in. Where's that here? Oh, I give a couple more. One of my favorite things to do on this is to describe what I want it to be in the context of what I'm doing, right? So, for example, if I'm building something, let's just say, uh, let's just say I'm building an SPX system or something. No, let's use SPX. Let's do like anything. What I like to do. It could be SPX. I like to tell it what it actually is. For example, if I'm going through a divorce and I'm working on a case myself to represent myself or whatever it is, or I'm going to court, I would communicate and say, give it the intent of, hey, um, you be an elite California divorce attorney, right? So I would prompt that message into it so it has context of like how it needs to be thinking, the types of language, and that it needs to be searching for, and this and like so that kind of like sets the tone. And then another thing I like to do when I'm starting to build a project or a workshop is I give it the context of something that I'm going to do. My end goal. I am trying to um, understand um, what the context of the structure of the market is, and I'm looking at entering these trades, da 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 da, whatever your goal is, and I want to find out where the buy zones are, or how to analyze this data, like this gamma exposure map or Vanna exposure map on Heatseeker, whatever platform you're using. You can plug that stuff in, and then you can say, be an elite. Um, uh, you know, uh, be an elite analyst, and let's brainstorm. Keyword would be brainstorm. So by saying let's brainstorm to the system, it's not going to think linear minded. It will actually explore all the options and think through different avenues, and then come back with this to you with a solution, not just one, but probably two or three. And then from that context, what we do is we question that, right? So instead of just saying, I'm looking at, the Vanna exposure and the gamma exposure on NVIDIA, and it's saying that there's a lot of exposure up at, 230 for the OPEX of June. All right. And so then what we do is, we're saying, okay, take a look at this from a structural and analytical standpoint, analyzing it, from market structure or from the market structure of NVIDIA, and then analyzing it from the gamma and Vanna exposure on these maps. From that standpoint, let's brainstorm and give an actionable day trading plan so that I can understand where my risk is and where my entry is and which contracts that I possibly want to be looking to buy so that I can capitalize on this investment opportunity, right? So like you kind of build the thought process around it, and then you say, okay, now let's brainstorm. And then when it gives you back these answers, you come back and you question it. Okay, you can say things like, um, uh, now brainstorm possible scenarios that you haven't already found, right? You could literally come back and then by back testing and pushing the envelope and questioning the system, the AI is actually smart enough to reanalyze the whole system, the whole original thesis that it came to you with based on the data that you provided. And then it will actually go back through it and then look at different other angles that it hasn't analyzed from different perspectives, and then come back with you. And that's how you get to coming to a solution that is really well refined, so that you can take an actionable step moving forward in your workshop, whatever you're building in that space, to get the end result that you're desiring, which would be, like hitting the target, for so to speak. So we're basically working with a shotgun that has no bullets, right, in it, or no, and we're turning it into a sniper rifle through the communication that it can hit a target from a mile away. Calculating the wind speed and the adjusted ratios of that, and the slope and all that kind of good stuff in just the way we're communicating to Claude, right? So that's kind of my thought process in how what I've learned, in how to really drive out the most out of it. So here's a little cheat sheet from the basics. Number one is you say the job first, and then the details. We talked about this, right? Very, very basic. Okay. Number two would be label the parts of your request with the tags, right? Talked about that, right? You're talking about like labeling the job. I'm looking to take advantage of this trade. And then you labeling the parts of the request with the tags is band exposure, gamma exposure on NVIDIA, looking at their structure, and we're going to be an analyst and look at how we can take advantage of this, right? Then really one good example of what you want, not really necessary, but you can do that. I mean, ask for the plan before it does the work is the brainstorming aspect, right? You brainstorm this actionable plan utilizing this data that I provided. Give me entries, and then you're questioning it, right? And then that's the giving it away or give it away to check its own answer, right? That's questioning the system, making sure it's doing its own due diligence, and then the double check it again with your own eyes, and then have it double check it again with its own eyes, right? And then you move on to the next topic, right? So talk. The big key thing here is you want to talk to Claude like a smart new teammate, right? You want to be very clear. Call him, tell it the goal, give it the facts, and say how you'll know the job is done right, right? And then prompting 101. Okay, so the order to write in a request. Okay, this is kind of the recipe. All right. I'll post. What I'll do too is I'll post this PDF in that AI channel for y'all that are listening. If you want the AI EDU, I can post it all in there. So then you guys can just go and grab it. I'll post this link to this PDF. Then the order to write a request in was number one, the job. Plus who should act. Like example, you're my research assistant. Summarize this. You're my NVIDIA analyst. Analyze this for my entry. Da 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 da. Right? Or if I'm baking cookies or whatever it is that I'm looking to do, you're my 5-star award-winning baker. Analyze these ingredients and come up with the most blah 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 cookie. And then the actual stuff to work on would be the paste in context, the data or the questions, right? Step-by-step instructions. Spell it out how you want it to be done. The best thing I can tell you is just keep pretending it's stupid. Okay, and you got to be so clear, okay, that you can contain it and make it be a sniper rifle instead of a shotgun, right? So then a quick reminder would be of the most important rule, and then go ahead. Like I love doing this. So for example, if I'm looking for NVIDIA, right, and I'm thinking to myself like, as I'm typing, I might say, you're an expert 6-figure trader and analyst on Wall Street. Please analyze, the best actionable plan to be able to get into NVIDIA calls this upcoming week and where I can define my risk based on the gamma and band exposure map, right? And so just giving that kind of context of like, you are an elite 6-figure trader or 7-figure trader on Wall Street, that context will actually change how it looks at the whole system, right? You are an institutional trader. Like that kind of context changes the dynamic of how Claude will think. Okay, really, really important. Okay, and then keeping it honest. Stop. You really want to stop it from making up things. Okay, because it fucking will. Like the thing is when you're using AI, you got to realize it's going to give you an answer fucking no matter what. It's going to give you an answer no matter what. So that's why it's important to be able to communicate through the prompts. And it's not difficult. Once you get in the habit, it becomes really, really easy. You just got to take the time to not be sloppy and to think constructively as well as abstract around the situation, the problem, to direct the work from the AI into a manner to get the desired result, or to help you find your answer, right? Ask it to point out the evidence. Tell me which line you got that from. I question my stuff all the time. All the time. I run audits. You know, you can do that too. After you get a done or done with a project, or it's done building or coding something that you built. You know, I'll always say run a full audit on this. Make sure everything is wired in, and go and back test that data, right? Or whatever I want it done, right? That's really important. Just the systematic process of going through it, you know, just as if you were working on studying for a paper or writing a paper or whatever it is in school, you want to take the same kind of effort in that. Um, Tell it the tone you want, right? Stay factual and confident. So I write something like this: no guessing, period. Never guess, period, right? And so that makes the system come back to me if it doesn't know the answer, and then it will give me a set of questions, and then help me drive it back more as to a sniper, as opposed to just, you know, shooting at the hip based on data. It's just grabbing, right? Really important. Okay. Um, then get your format. Make the answer come out usable. Okay. So you can ask for what kind of shape you want it. You know, answer as a table. Give me a bullet point. You know, answer in one sentence. You know, do a PDF, whatever you want. Right. You know, build me a dashboard. You know, all that good stuff. So treat it like a trial and error. And when you answer, and when an answer actually misses, tweak the request or the prompt and try it again. You know, it's completely normal. Even the experts all do this stuff. Why it matters is because you're not stuck with the first answer, and you never want to lean on the first answer. You want to look at the first answer as a rough draft, right? You know, it's the small little tweaks in your wording, you know, to your request are the real skill, and they're very cheap too. So, anyways, that's the 101 on this on the first set. There's a couple more. I'll let Swanee jump in if he wants to, if he's ready, and kind of talk a little bit about what he sees too, and then I'll kind of get back into some more of the coding workshop stuff.
Sure, great. So can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Great, fantastic. First thing first, you need to look at, and I'm just going to do a overview rather than talk in details about AI and prompts and what you do and what you don't do and so on and so forth. So the first overview I'm going to tell you is LLM is not AI. Think of LLM, large language models, as basically a repository or a library of everything humanity has collected so far, and it's getting fed more and more and more and more books and more things into it. The second thing that's happening is millions of people who are using AI and feeding and creating stuff, that is also getting accumulated. They are taking that in. It's not the reason you're seeing AI that they give you as a subscription at this price is because you are working for them. So it's collecting different ideas. It's collecting and taking different ideas. It's collecting and making them connect with each other, just like neurons in the brain would do. What is the real other part of it is your AI agents. Your AI agents are task specific, and they are going to take things from the library. Now think about 30 years ago when I was in University of Virginia Tech. At one point, the librarian told me you cannot check out any books anymore. So I said, why? And she said, because you have 100 books checked out. So bring some back, and then we'll let you check out some more books. So what basically is happening is you are taking this information for your research, but you need to know what to look at. You need to know the topic. You need to be topic specific, and then go and grab that information from the library create logic behind it, and then your app or your AI agent is going to create and give you the correct results. But if you are just feeding in garbage, it's garbage in, garbage out. So you need to know. And the other thing that is happening, and let me tell you, prompt engineering was a buzzword about 6 months ago. Today, that job is also going to disappear. Everything coming from AI is like a big monster devouring different jobs one by one, starting at a smaller scale. And it's going to keep just growing. So you have to update your skills. I mean, I joined an AI program 6 months, I finished that, and I joined another one from a university. Why? Because I want to keep up to date with my skills. Now you see, for example, Obsidian. Take Obsidian and go through YouTube videos of how people are using Obsidian, which is basically a simple note-taking thing, but it's taking notes, your ideas, and collecting it in a vault, and then creating nodes and joining them like a neural network. Similarly, your apps are doing the same thing, but if you want to do it in the shortest amount of time, you want to be as specific as possible. The second thing you can do is tell the AI itself to create the best prompt to create a system, goal XYZ in mind, and then tweak that prompt before you even give that prompt for an app or a AI agent to create something for you. That will save you time. It will save you a lot of extra money that you spend. When you use compute power, it's charging you. Any app that you are using is going to keep charging you. Yeah, for little things, $20 subscription, nobody cares. But when you get deeper and deeper into it, you keep paying more and more and more. So this is the big overview of using AI. Now, prompt engineering, that is probably also not required. I just came across 2-3 Twitter posts that said, look, I created this, and I created a app to make the best prompts. And how crazy is that? That within few weeks, that whole buzzword about prompt engineering is disappearing. Imagine what happens to people who have been writing millions of lines of code 10 years ago. If they're not upgrading themselves, they are in deep trouble. That's my 2 cents on AI and how to use AI. The more accurate you get in presenting your goal and let it create first the architecture. Don't ask it to immediately create a product for you, a final dashboard or a final product. Tell it to create an architect. Let me see.
Exactly.
Show me how they are all linked together. Then you go through your mind and your knowledge and your understanding and see if you have connected things. If that AI assistant for you and you are in sync with the logic that you think it's going to need or be applied. Then you say, now go out into this whole open internet databases, GitHub, everything, and search through everything to see what matches my goals, what is working for me, what I need to reach that goal. After that, when everything is all in place, then tell it to make another prompt saying, now you create for me a final output that is either a Python notebook or a or a Pine script or any of that. And now see how smart it is. I used to 6 months ago to OpenAI, I was giving like my logic and telling it, hey, create for me the script in Pine script. And it would come back and just dump something with many errors. Then I had to show him, show the AI, these are the errors. Here is the code for that error. 1, 2, 3, 4. Show it, copy it, paste it. Then it would come and correct and make that script the way I wanted it. Now it has been making less and less mistakes. Does it make sense? So what is happening is everything that me and hundreds of others who wanted Pine scripts to be written for TradingView were feeding this information and errors. And it was taking that, creating a knowledge base and saying, okay, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong in Pine script, don't do it. So it is learning from us as much as we are getting things out of it. And there's going to come a time when people are going to start thinking, I'm giving this away for free. How do I copyright it, or how do I protect so I get some royalty from the designs I'm creating? Another, just a sidebar. What is that, Nano Banana? If anybody has been there, it's killing the interior designer's jobs. All I have to do is feed in a floor plan of a house, tell it I want a European style design, modern European style design, or you can say Italian traditional format, or any of that. And it will create a fully 3D rendered house, interiors. And then I can tell it I want this color scheme, and it will change it to that color scheme. The other thing to remember is to not feed 20 instructions all at once. And then that hallucination and all that comes into play. Build upon your instructions that you feed the AI. Start with simple one-line instruction, then gradually increase it. And keep seeing what the results come back. If they match what you want, then move to the next step. And that's all I can tell you, like the overall picture. With that, you can go into any field and start doing search. The other thing also to remember is that when you are doing search, and I was very familiar with one topic, and I wanted to know and get more information about that topic. But every time when I just said, tell me about this, it gave me an output that was entirely biased, because the information, the major body of information that the Open Library has is very much Western Eurocentric. So when I said drop the Eurocentric, it went to Mesopotamia. When I said drop that, it went to Egypt. When I said drop that, it went to Arabia. But I knew the information. I knew what I was looking for. I had studied that already. I didn't need AI to tell me. So finally I said, drop all biases and look at every culture. Look at everything all over the globe. Look at Chinese culture, look at Indian culture, look at Aborigine culture, look at Eskimo culture, look at Aztecs, Incas. Only then I got the answer, which I already knew what the answer should be. Without telling the topic, I'm just giving you what AI will do. It will do the simplest thing first. But that's not the end of it. If you really want to go in depth into any research body, and you really want to understand the full depth and not just get one superficial answer and say, oh, I'm happy with this, then you're going to have to tell it, the AI, to drop all biases. With that said, I'll hand it back to yourselves.
That was great. Thanks, buddy. Um, so now that we went through the first steps, and Swanee gave some good insights on how he approaches it. He's been knee deep, and I mean, I probably wouldn't be where I'm at with it if it wasn't for him as well. We've had some good chats and stuff, and I appreciate that. Um, so now it's just about passing it on so that everybody else can utilize it and learn. So the second part of the basics in the workshop is uh, Claude Code is really hooked into your real life files and the tools instead of just a plain little chat box. Is this kind of how you want to look at it? Like even if you're using the chat app, these habits will all still apply. Okay, so start small, ask questions before you work, just like we've been saying, right? Begin asking it questions. Literally, this is how Anthropic trains their new hires. You learn what it's good at and what it's bad at before you rely on it, right? And I like to just constantly assume this system's not very smart, so then it makes me work and be due diligent to turn the system from a shotgun, just blasting out data that could be right or could not be right or could be general, to getting the desired outcome. So ask for the plan first, then let it do its work, and then jumping straight to just do it often solves the wrong problem. Yeah, and that's a fact. I've learned that. I'm sure Swanee's learned that too. But treat it like a new teammate. Be really specific. Make it match your style. Make sure you ask it the right questions starting out. Like like he had mentioned. Create the architecture for X, Y, and Z. Here's the prompt. Here is my goal, and then work around that. And before you even start creating, work around it and maybe say brainstorm. Other options around the architecture that you built. Is this the most you know applicable to the desired goal? Questioning it is just huge. Write down the rules too. Keep a short note file. They call it Claude MD. With your standing rules, it will always use this format. Like these are the key files. Keep it short. A long one will eat into that limited short-term memory, and it'll make answers actually worse. So keep it short, simple, and plain. Paste your standing rules at the top, and or save them in a project. It matters because writing your own rules down means when you stop re-explaining yourself in every single sentence or every single time, it's going to be a lot more efficient. And that's what the system's designed to do. It's designed to be more efficient. So the more efficient we can operate it, the more efficient it will spit out accurate outcomes. Claude MB is huge. Is a big deal. When you share it, obviously, a team gets better together. So when a team shares the same notes, this is really not even applicable. But let's get into the second part, or the third part. Running agents, right? An agent is AI you set loose to finish a multi-step job. Okay, that's an agent, right? And these are the tricks for trusting when you're not watching every step. Okay, the big idea is using two AIs, a builder and a checker. Okay, asking it to guide its own work is a trap. Okay, so goes back to the same principles, right? Instead of having one AI do the work and a separate one check it, build a built-in second opinion, right? It's easy to make a checker, but AI strict, it's harder, or it's hard to make a doer. So AI, needs to be honest about its own mistakes. Before any work starts, you have to agree on what it actually is trying to do and get it written down in there. If you have a vague goal, you're going to get a very vague result. Same thing comes back to the shotgun and the sniper. Okay, we want to be, turning this thing into a sniper sniper rifle that can hit a target a mile away. Why it matters is the same AI that makes the mistake usually can't even spot it. Fresh eyes from even another AI within the system can catch what the first one missed. Judging quality, um, if you have an opinion on what good or what the desired result looks like, you want to definitely write that down in the checklist, right? Design, originality, craft, does it work? And show it some examples if you have some. Just like the example that Swan had brought up about the house and stuff, and the adjustments, and that's pretty cool. It's in itself. It's crazy um, how fast it's moving. I mean, you can literally you're unlimited based on what you can create, as long as you're efficient with it and you're directing it in the right outcome. um, make it looks go ahead.
Sorry. Just to interrupt. AI uh, is gobbling up jobs, my friend. And my view is even much larger than that. This is just the start.
I agree.
Today we are just gobbling up, say, an interior designer's job or a person who picks material for an interior design or for a customer or a legal contract. I mean, legal contract, Adobe already has AI agents which will sift through all the contract items and give you an opinion on it. But think of taking now this AI agents, creating software that you input into machines and humanoids, and it's going to start eating up other jobs, physical jobs,
Yeah.
when the human is, when it can be deployed in very large scales, like robots on a very large scale. I mean, we are nowhere compared to where China is. For us, Western Hemisphere people, safety, all those rules are very important. In China, they will experiment, they will have disasters, and they will break it, and they'll build it again. But it's moving at a pace. I can tell you from my own profession, in my profession, my experience, when you are starting to construct a building, you have to do a layout, right? You have to do surveys, you have to do the markings, you have to do all the heights. Today, once a floor is built, a robotic machine in China is actually laying out your walls where you're supposed to put the walls. It draws it up on the floor based on a CAD drawing. And Autodesk has now started to implement AI into their product. Think about it. Think about an operator sitting in a container operating 20 excavation machines doing different jobs. This is where we are heading. Everyone, people saying, "Oh, electrician's job is not going to go anywhere, and mechanic's job is not going to go anywhere." Trust me, a day is coming when you will see the same symbiotic relationship like the Star Wars, where robots and humans are working together.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't know what the future outcome is for this planet, but humanity really needs to go start moving out. Only then this can be sustained. Otherwise, everybody's jobs will be eaten.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's crazy how it's moving.
Good
Go ahead.
perspective. Sorry, go ahead, sir. I thought I needed to put that in there.
Yeah, absolutely. You're 100% right. If you're not utilizing it, you know, in your workspace, or challenge yourself to, think outside the box or create something that you want or need to create right now, I mean, you're just gonna watch it all go by, you know, and yeah, that's fine too. But um, you know, for me, it's fun because there's no limit. I have zero limit. I don't have a boss telling me when I have to do this or do that. I can literally work as long as I want, as hard as I want, and as long as I have enough rest and can actually think clearly and read through things, and nobody can stop me. And I mean, um, I'm literally, probably 20 weeks away from launching an app, that's gonna blow the fucking doors off of what's currently out there. And like that's not out of the question for anybody. Anybody can do this, but you're only limited by how you communicate and think abstractly with the AI, and how you communicate with it is everything. And not only that, but I mean, it does help if you have your own proprietary things, right? Like I think that's one thing that like can separate you as a creator on AI, is if you have things that you have that are not that are very unique to yourself or what you've created uniquely. And if you can take that into the AI space and then create something special, then I think that's where special things can happen. So let's finish this up here. So um, you know, I think we covered a builder and a checker. We talked about the checklist. Okay, this is what part we were on right here. Um, uh, I think we're wrapping this one up here. Judging the quality, like even a taste can be the checklist, right? Showing it a few examples of good versus bad, so it can line up with what your outcome is. Make it look nice. It just is going to get you a generic and a vague output, right? Running a checklist, in very specific orders is really important. Don't lose the thread. Save notes, reread what it did. And that's really important. A lot of times it will spit out bullet points or options and all this stuff make sure you read through it, because you can't take it for granted that it's just going to be right. By rereading through it, you're actually understanding the system and the direction it's trying to take the creation, right, or the build. And when you can do that, then you can actually really, clearly understand the next prompt, or the next move and direction that you want to communicate to the AI, so that it can properly, move in the direction that you're desired. Constantly thinking in terms of, I'm turning the shotgun into a sniper rifle that can hit a target a mile away, is always the right mindset. And assuming that it's always a shotgun and it's always stupid is the best for me, at least. Because it just drives me to keep it on point, stay focused, and be very efficient with how I communicate to it. So it matters because it's attempting to re-ask and hope, but like to fix the outcomes from seeing exactly where it went off the rails and then adjusting the instructions. Okay, so we're really just becoming better uh, people at comprehending, as well as communicators within the system, right? So Claude Code Course, right? Last part here. And this is like a beginner introduction to it. Okay. So if you're a little like, oh my God, this is a lot, like, it shouldn't be. It should be pretty standard. If it seems to be a lot, that's okay. The more you kind of, just jump into the swimming pool with your eyes closed, the easier it's going to be to just play around with it, little basic stuff, and then apply these principles, and you'll be off and running. But what Swan was talking about earlier, and what this thing was talking about earlier as well in the course, is having the before you just it's just like a trade, right? you see the trade, and you got two kinds of traders. The shitty traders, which just like they see something going, they see a tweet, they see an account tweet about it, they see a flow hit, and boom, they hit it and they slam it, and they don't even look back. They see a heat map post, oh, I'm gonna get in no matter what, right? And you know, those kind of traders, they lose money. Okay, they make money every once in a while, but there's no real context on their system. They're just slamming shit and hoping, and when the trade goes against them, they ask why and complain. But then you have the consistent week in, week out traders that are green every week. They have a plan before they enter the trade. They know the stocks that they're looking at for the week ahead. They know exactly where their entries are going to be, and they know that it's a powerful setup or it's a setup to stay away from. Right, the preparation into the trade results in making a very easy 50 to 100% trade that looks all flashy and stuff on the outside, but really it was just a little bit of preparation that resulted in a great trade. And it's the same way with the AI. Setting that foundation of your goal, right, and then guiding it to build architecture, to brainstorm around the goal, to get it set and understand all of the data that can influence what you're trying to get to, which is your goal, and then letting it loose to build what you want, step by step by step, through the architecture and the plan that it derived. Right. So how it really works is the AI starts every message from scratch. Right. The AI has no memory between messages. Okay. Each time the app quietly resends everything, your files, the chat so far, your rules. So it has a full picture again. That's why your standing rules and clear context matter so much. If it's not in front of the AI doesn't even know it. Okay. So it matters because it should remember. I told it that is a common fault and trap. It only knows what's in the actual current chat. So that's keeping important stuff in view. Keeping the important stuff in view is really, really, really key. Guardrails and shortcuts. Set limits and save your routines. Right. I'm pretty sure KP and Swan, they have their routines on how they communicate to the AI when they're starting a build, as well as when it's built the architecture out for their build and their creation, and then they're executing the same process through that next level. Permissions will let you pre-approve. Right, they'll pre-approve safe actions and block risky ones, so it can't do anything you didn't say okay. Now this is really important. Okay, so like earlier I talked about like how I put in I have a hard rule on most of my stuff is no guessing. Like that's a rule. Like my system will never guess. It will always come and give me the data, and it will actually start typing in no guessing, actually looking for actionable facts, blah 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 blah. And then if it's got an issue, it will come back to me, and that's what you want. You don't want to just be taking its assumptions, right? So and then a skill is just a saved routine. It's a checklist that for a task that you do over and over, like just reviewing the writing. And then best mindset is can the AI handle this for me? Right? Can it be sharp enough to handle this for me? Look for the parts of your routine that you can hand off. Right? Why it matters is a little setup up front. Limits and saved routines turns the AI from a one-off helper into something that can actually reliably do high quality repeated work. Okay, so one habit ties all four workshops together. Tell it clearly, give it a way to check itself, and read what it actually did. You master that, and the rest is just kind of details. Okay, so say again, tell it clearly, give it a way to check itself, and then make sure it can read what it actually did. Okay, so it goes back to the same principles that I talked about in the beginning that I felt like were really important, as well as what Swan was talking about. It's you got to look at it like this thing's only going to be as smart as I operate it, and I like to assume it's dumb, like really stupid. And so then I build the plan, I give it my goal, and then we have the architecture that gets built, and I like to add the brainstorming in, and then question it, make sure it's really solidified and that it's used all of the data that's necessary that can be used to that aligns with what my goal is, and then you set it into action. So anyways, um that's all for today. I just thought that was going to be, it would be a kind of a fun thing to do on a Saturday, to go over, uh, some simple actionable not trade, but ways to use the AI and to approach it, because how you set it up and start to use it is everything. And then once you can master that, then it becomes a lot easier. Um, Anybody have any questions?
Hey, Cells, RJ. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Cells.
Yeah, you
Mute. Good, KP. Oh, he cannot hear us, looks like.
I can't hear him.
You can?
I think.
You can't hear me? Or can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear RJ.
Oh, okay. You had a quick question. So I'm new to Claude. I use like chat and everyday life stuff, but as far as like bringing in data from another source to look at, how is that done in coding, or is that done under projects, or how does that work? So,
I'll give you my 2 cents, and then I'll let Swanee jump in. So it depends on what you want to do. You can bring anything you want into it. So um, I'll give you a couple examples of things that I do. Okay, so I have some formulas that I have, that were off server, right? Obviously, and so then what I did is I just basically put them into a documented format, and then I upload the document into Claude, and then I do it, for example, for a PDF too. Or let's say, for example, there's a specific article from uh, from a professor, or from some guy, right? You just drop it in, and then what you do is just say, or what I like to say is, I want you to open up these documents, read through them very clearly, understand them, and come back and give me a breakdown on them. So then I just want to make sure it's going to comb through all the details. I want to fully digest the document, and then make sure I confirm it, that it's read it and completely can comprehend everything in it. And then you could say, what do you think about this? And then and then it will give you a comment, and then from there you can actually kind of direct it, say, okay, well, shit, it did not comprehend it all. Okay, so then maybe it was something in the upload of the image, which usually is not the case. And then if it does, then you just say, okay, this is the direction I want you to do this with this, right? Or build a full architectural plan, and let's brainstorm how we can create this with this document, or this, right? That's how I do it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thanks.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, what's cool too is, like, I think it's really fun to do, because you're a crypto trader too, and I think it's really fun to like do. You can build overlays. like correlation overlays with like Coin, MSTR, some of these crypto stocks to Bitcoin, and see correlation overlays, or do it with a 1-to-1 with the indexes, or do a 1-to-1 with ETH, right?
Right.
And like that's like those are fun little projects to kind of just get really really familiar with, just the using it, going back and forth, understanding how it builds out things, understanding how it communicates, because you're really familiar with how those trade. And then, by kind of working back and forth with it, you can understand like how to use it better and to kind of be efficient with it. And then take it into other tasks and builds that you want to do.
Yeah, I was messing around with that this weekend, actually, asking you different questions about, crypto, and kind of like, who's going to lead the market as far as, kind of like the new infrastructure and rails that are going to be introduced into the stock market and those types of things. So, it was interesting what it's coming back with. But to your point, it is dumb, and you got to keep asking it specific questions and drilling down if you're going to get what you want.
Yeah, yeah, and you can even say to it like, go give me a list of all the sources in the entire world that are associated with this, and this, to be able to, um, give us a broader view of our goal, right? And like you could tell it that too, and it will just fucking go through everything.
You guys gave me some good ideas. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you could even do like go through what's the one BTC index on the US, the big one. The company, you could you could do it like really cool, like where it's like, tell me who is who created and who is invested in all the details around IBIT, right? You could do something cool like this, and then what you could do from there, where whoever's involved, what institutions are involved and who created this, who are the major investors, blah 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 blah, and all the on IBIT, right? Because that's like the big ETF, right? And and then from there, you could take that data, and then you could go just dive. Then you could make it go to work and find out anything you want, because those are the creators, and then it will go search. You could have them search and dig through their files.
Yeah. Yeah, compared to like MSBT, which is Morgan Stanley, it's like the same concept of who's investing in those types of things, and what information are they gathering.
Yeah, but I mean, I just think, yeah, it's fun, it's great, but once you kind of have that perspective, when you're using it as just everything, it's absolutely everything. When you can do that, you can pretty much do whatever the hell you want. But I think what really separates, something from being just another creation to something special is if the user has things that are unique to themselves. If you have something like that, then you can really build something really cool. But thank you, Dog Mom, for recording. I appreciate it. So I'll post this in the room, and then I'll post it in the AI EDU for people that are not members. So, anyways, anybody have any other questions? And Jew boy, you're probably gonna have this AI start building or digging basements, huh? And footings.
Wow. Yeah. Is there anything else, guys, or are we calling it a? What's that?
I think that's it. Somebody's gonna talk. Go ahead, Heat. Oh. I can't hear him. But anyways, all right, guys. So I appreciate you guys hopping on. That was fun. I hope you guys learned something. We're gonna try to do this again in a week or two, and just kind of keep it kind of building and stacking on each other. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. But thank you, Swan. I appreciate you hopping on and sharing your insight too.
No issues, man. I think took me time, but it's a learning process. The more you
Yeah.
do it, the more you keep at it and get help. You can't just say, okay, there's my AI is going to do the best on its own. No, you need to keep talking to people. You need to keep looking at Twitter. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff that shows up on Twitter feeds from different people. And
Yeah.
one got this obsidian thing. Another person showed me that the prompt engineering is now a defunct job. It didn't come just out of my brain or talking to AI or anything. I keep track of all the AI related tweets, and that's where I came across some very nice write-ups. There are lots of nice write-ups using AI for financial markets, by the way, guys. Lots of good stuff. And it's hard to keep up when people are just giving it out for free out there. Now, a lot of things you need to tie into or get into GitHub and many other repositories of how others have programmed things. But I have to really talk to us people and see how to make it safe for your machine.
Yeah.
That is one thing I have a question about is what is the security if I'm taking my AI, whatever I'm doing and tying it into GitHub, how secure is that? What security layer do I have?
So I'm actually in the process of doing that and into AWS. And what I've done, I haven't built it in yet, but I'm in the process of it. And everything that I have is basically like how I would describe it is, from my understanding, because I have everything encrypted right now, and when I load it into AWS and use those two platforms, what we want to do is keep the coding on our side, right? And then that can stay encrypted, but then the actual product or what we're streams through. So the build, you see what I'm saying? It's like that's what I'm understanding in terms of how we want to, have it on the cloud, right? Because we want it to operate there, but the proprietary data needs to stay on our end. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense, but I'm still working through that process of finding, information of how to secure your system. Because once you go live, SPX Omega had so many problems. He started getting DDSs and all those things from China and Hong Kong and many other places
Through AWS?
through whatever system he was using. I think it was firstly a local, then he moved on to a data provider who then gave him that layer of security.
Okay.
Yeah, so be careful with all those things. While you're doing the app and the agent and all that, you are protected. Like right now, I'm protected with Cloudflare. Cloudflare is the layer that the agent that I'm using, they have that, and they have Cloud as the background agent for development.
So when you're using Claude, you have Cloudflare surrounding it.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that is very, very key. Once somebody gets into your side of the computer, that becomes a big problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just that you just, oh, okay, I'll just reformat my hard drive and it's done. No, they get into your computers, they get into your IPs, they get into your accounts of different internet accounts, and becomes a massive issue. Like it did for someone. I don't know how he's working through that.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do they protect it from like all these big software companies protect themselves? Is it just with the Cloudflare and things like that?
Cybersecurity firms. On the investing side, if you're looking for all these new technologies, your first gold mine is energy, next
Hmm.
is security. And you can build chips and you can build machines and you can do all that. But if you don't have those two things, what are you going to do with it?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. All right, I appreciate you, buddy. That was fun. All right, y'all. Take care, and I'll see you guys Sunday. So I adjusted the Sunday EDU to 7 p.m. Eastern. It's a little earlier. I posted it in my channel just because I'm gonna do. I got invited to do kind of like a guest speaker on in another a friend of mine who runs a Discord. I'm gonna do a little guest speaker in his at 9 Eastern. So, but we'll still do our EDUs just a little earlier. But enjoy your weekend. Hope you guys learned something. We'll do this again. And if you have any questions, reach out. Cheers, guys.